Welcome to the Comfortable in Chaos Podcast. Strangle your demons and let's go.
Y'all need Jesus!
How long has this been going on? Yeah, baby. How long has this been going on? Well, if friends with their fancy persuasion don't admit that it's part of a scheme, but I can't help but have my suspicions, 'cause I ain't quite as dumb as I seem. Welcome to the Comfortable in Chaos Podcast. I am your host, Hellberg. And you know, we're like Einstein over here, man. We have no special talents. We're just passionately curious about all things pertaining to men. How in the hell did we get here? Really, man? How did we get here today in the state of affairs in our country? And since we just paid homage to those that have allowed us to live, we are still living. I think we will carry on that honor by simply discussing what the hell is going on. They would have wanted clarity. We want clarity. We want a new way. So let's keep going. In the United States, and I guess really around the world, other than drugs like Prozac and Zoloft and anything to keep you out of depression, what was the biggest damn pharmaceutical boom ever? My God, it was that wonderful elixir called Viagra. Then it went off patent. That's why you see ads for everything. Everyone wants to turn into like a monkey with a jackhammer, right? I guess every man has ED out there in America. Now, I could do a whole episode on ED. What is it? Erectile dysfunction, blood flow. All right, is the American man having trouble with getting it up? Well, evidently so. I've never touched any of those things. I'm 53. I just realized that vitamin C, whether you take sodium ascorbate or ascorbic acid, and you can then mix it with a little bit of arginine for general well health. I mean, it makes common sense that if your cardiovascular system is more optimum, so is your health. I don't think we need Viagra or Cialis, but you know, you look at the commercials. I can't remember any of those for Viagra, but you've got the guy and the gal, they're in a bathtub, approximately 3 feet apart, 36 inches. And I guess that's the goal of these drugs. We all need 36 inches, right? The American man needs to walk around like a hung horse in order to achieve efficacy. But they reach across from the bathtubs. Their fingers touch, then they take a pill. Kablooey! It's on like Donkey Kong. All right. And you're like, what the are you talking about, Eric? Here's what I'm talking about. Here's what's wrong with America. One, that the American man needs that. But there is some correlation as to what has diminished. I'm not even going to say libido or anything in regards to that. I'm going to say humanity's health. There is a whole episode that we can do on that. We will explore the data. It may be down the road. It's going to be mind-numbing. We have to put it together, dispel it to you, so then you can now make a decision for yourself. But I'm going to tell you what these pills will not do for you. Viagra and Cialis cannot cure erectile dysfunction when it comes to Democratic women. You can take 2 of them. You can take 3 of them. Imagine you are looking at one of these women in the faces. So let's start off with the women of California, because the Beach Boys always said, I wish they all could be California girl. Hell no, I don't. You want to look at I don't know, boxer, Senator Feinstein, Nancy Pelosi? There's not a whole pallet of Viagra that could help you with that. Let's look at the rest of the Democratic leaders that are female. Hillary Clinton, AOC, Kamala Harris, Mike Obama. Are you kidding me? And let's just add those skanks from The View. What Joey Behar? Whoopi? No, you won't be making any Whoopi if you're looking at Whoopi. There's one more. Sunny something. Sunny. She sits in the middle. She's the only one on that View that has some semblance of physical appeal. But then you know what happens? I remember, about a year and a half ago, boy, she was talking about racism. She was talking about slavery. And did you know some people did a deep dive on her ancestry, and it turns out that in her past, she had family members that were slave holders. So she had to eat a little crow. But she didn't change her tune. And here she is talking about oppression, kind of like LeBron James, right? Talking about oppression. She has a doctor's of jurisprudence, a lawyer from a very fine institution. She's paid millions every year, but yet somehow she is oppressed, and she is allowed to speak her mind and spew nonsense all the time. So I will tell you, there is a subtle difference there, and you know what it is? Some physical appeal, but she opens her mouth, and then we want to vomit. So that just shows you guys, we're not shallow, right? We know that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but we're not just summoned by physicality. We want to know what's on the inside too. We're men. We want to know what you think. Oh yeah. So I'm going to put forth the premise. I'm going to try to get Pfizer to pick this study up for me. In fact, I may email their chairman of the board. I'm going to email this guy because we know that they believe in the science. And I believe that the rampant erectile dysfunction disorder in America is attributed to Democratic women, a lot of which are very ugly, and a lot of which are very ugly on the inside. And if you're standing before them because you like the way they look, all they have to do is open their mouth and then, whoop, no amount of Viagra, no amount of Cialis. That may be the problem with America. And what would we attribute that to? Feminist bullshit. Yep, we don't like smug women spewing nonsense. Now, on the other hand, what will get a man's blood pumping? Ladies, how about a job well done, to conclusion, and justice? The good Lord is the ultimate judge. We're not here to judge one another, but we can watch behaviors. And if someone is exhibiting something deleterious to ourselves and or our country, well, then we definitely should take notice and we should definitely do something. But when we get something done, and it is our calling as men, and if we are trying to be godly men, to pursue righteousness and to purge wrongdoing. So bear with me, all you Hamas and IDF equivocators. Bear with me. Let's talk about this story, shall we? And there are thousands of them just like it, but we can only touch upon a couple here on the show today. Let's talk about a Shell, 4 months old, and his brother Negev, 4 years old. And let's talk about their hero mom, Avi Vital Kaplon. Yeah, when Hamas burst into their homes, Avi shielded her 2 boys, grabbed them tightly to her bosom, crouched over them as the Hamas savages at gunpoint pried her away. She begged and begged for her sons' lives. And did you know that Hamas is so humanitarian that they granted her wish? You know what they did? While the boys watched, oh yeah, a green headband and baklava wearing savage held each boy, strapped the mom to her bed, laden with explosives. They backed the boys out of the house to the entryway, and they detonated their mother to smithereens. Then, for propaganda purposes that all these morons on campuses are championing, they then did a video of another barbaric Hamas member holding the boys, who were gripping them and shaking uncontrollably, and then put it out to the world that Hamas was looking after children. Yep, that's what happened. That's what happened. Saturday, they just found the body of a grandmother who was 92 years old, still very agile, still very vibrant and avid gardener. Well, Hamas pulled her out of the garden, and since Israel does care about its citizens and they can do DNA tests, they know who lives within their confines and who doesn't. You think Hamas knows who all lives in Gaza or cares about them? Well, they just found her on Saturday. I'm not going to tell you what condition her body was in, and it was found in Rafah. So I guess they drug her all the way over there. That was supposed to be their safe haven. President Joe said you can't go into Rafah because, you know, Hamas is stockpiling things, and this is their fortified area. You can't go into there, Benjamin. Well, they found the grandma, and Benjamin told Joe, F you, Joe. And then I got a picture. This was last night. And it was a edge of an apartment building in Rafah. And my friend said, Eric, it's going to be really interesting to see who the hell that they just took out. And did you know only really 2 floors of that 5-story apartment building were damaged, and just at the corner? And that corner apartment was being used because it had a good vantage point. It was at a cross section and an intersection in Rafah. It gave these terrorist idiots good vantage point, and these were 2 Hamas leaders. Did you know Israel's strike was so surgically precise that the lights on the top floors above this apartment that they targeted were still on? That's mind-numbing, man. That is amazing. So they took these 2 Hamas leaders out. I don't remember their names, just in pure recollection. I'd have to pull it up for you. But 2 more bad guys down. That is the painstaking measures and the surgical precision that Israel is using to ferret out these vermin. And I would say that gets a man's blood flow going. I would say that is justice served. I mean, it's no different than Obama, who professed that I got really good at killing people. And how did he do that? He did that with the wonderful Predator drone all over in Pakistan, all over in Yemen, throughout Iraq, in Afghanistan, right? He was ruthless, and there was a lot of collateral damage that we now know. He was ruthless with those. Where he was not ruthless was the whole time that our guys were fighting for their lives in a made-up protest, which was really an organized attack. He watched our men in the CIA annex and the consulate in Benghazi with a Predator drone feed the whole time. Him and Hillary denied a QRF, quick reaction force. They denied air cover, and we know Predators have the ability. Obama would use them with ruthless impunity to kill people. We could have helped our men on top of that roof over the course of that day of fighting. But Obama chose to just simply watch that day for some reason. That's really interesting to me. So we know that justice was not served that day. And other than the men who were fighting for their lives on top of that roof, I guess no one's blood flow was going. So what can we do, men? All we can do is keep talking and sharing with one another these violations that we are seeing in our country, so it can become the country that it was before it has become what it is at present. I mean, go back to one of the greatest shows ever, MASH, during the Korean War. And isn't it amazing that you remember old Corporal Klinger? I think he was Lebanese. Man, he was hairy as a bear, wasn't he? And he would come sauntering into good old Colonel Sherman Potter's office. Full bird colonel, probably could have been a damn, I don't know, at least a lieutenant general. He just wasn't a yes man, because we know in order to advance in the military now, you got to be a yes man. People come out of these service academies, they don't have any honor. They're just looking for advancement. The old ring knocking game, political advancement. But old Sherman, he was an old cavalryman. He rode horses. In fact, he kept a horse at the 4077, which was totally badass. But Klinger would come in. Sometimes he'd have a veil on, hell, even a wedding dress, full dress, stockings with all the hair poking out from his legs. And Sherman would be like, nope, no Section 8 for you today, Klinger. Get your ass on the phone. Call Sol. We need some more supplies. Cut the bullshit. So in those days, people would dress up like a woman to prove they were absolutely crazy. But in today's America, people dress up like a woman when they're a man to show that they are normal, and we're supposed to give these assholes legitimacy. Screw that. So until next time on the Comfortable in Chaos podcast, I bid you bon voyage, my burgeoning flock.
Until next time, like and subscribe to the Comfortable in Chaos podcast.